This is the story of four good friends. Of the 7 men that returned with Branwen back to Britain to bury the head of Bran under the White Mount in London, two of which those 2 men were Manawydan, Bran's brother, and Pryderi, who was now the lord of the 7 regions of Dyfed. And after they had buried the head of King Bran, Manawydan, with his friend Pryderi, journeyed back to Dyfed, where Pryderi had his court on the green mound of Gorsedabeth. Now, Pryderi did give his mother, Rhiannon, as wife to Manawydan, and Pryderi's wife was named Kicva. And they journeyed back to Gorsedabeth, and there they did live in peace for many, many months, and it was good. There was deer in the forests, and birds in the trees, and fish in the streams. And they would hunt, and a great friendship struck up between these four. Well, one day when they were all sitting on Gorsedabeth, a mist started to form, and then thunder clapped in the sky, and lightning struck. Then when it all cleared, their attendants were all gone. They could see no flocks in the fields, and no huts in the valleys, and not a man, woman, or child was to be seen in all of Dyfed. "What manner of trickery is this?" Manawydan asked Pryderi. "I do not know." And they were shocked. And so they decided to roam the land, looking for food, and see if they could find anybody. But they could find no one. And so they roamed the land, collecting honey from the bees and hunting deer in the woods, until they got tired of this, and they decided that they should make their living. And Pryderi said, "Let us go to Lloegr, England." "All right, fine. We shall go to Lloegr, and we should go to Hereford, and there we shall make saddles." "Ah, this sounds like a good plan. Come, let us go." And so they went off to Hereford in England, and there they took up to work as craftsmen, making saddles, painting the saddles blue. And so fine was the craftsmanship that the local saddle makers in Hereford started to conspire against them. "Ah, these Welshmen are too good. We should kill them. Yes, we shall do that. Tomorrow night we'll do it." And Pryderi and Manawydan overheard this. And Pryderi said, "Manawydan, we should kill the villains." And Manawydan just shook his head and said, "No, no, we would end up in prison. Come, let us leave and go to the next town." So they left in Hereford, and they journeyed on to the next town. In the next town, they took to building shields, painting the shields blue. And so fine were the shields that again the local craftsmen got angry at these 2 Welshmen, accused them of stealing their work, and they plotted against them to kill them. And Pryderi heard this, and he said to his friend, "We should kill the villains, Manawydan." But Manawydan just shook his head again and said, "No, no. If we would end up dead. Come, let us leave to the next town." And so in the next town in England, they took up work as saddle makers, shoemakers. And so they made very fine shoes. So fine were these shoes again that the local shoemakers conspired against them. And Pryderi once again said, "Manawydan, we should kill these villains." And Manawydan said, "No, I think it is time that we leave England, and let us return to Dyfed." And so the next day they returned to Dyfed, back to Gorsedd, and it was the same as before. Their attendants were gone, all the people in all the realm were gone, all the flocks of sheep were gone. There was no life in the land. But the forests were still, as always, abundant with many deer and fish in the streams. And so they took once again to collecting honey from the bees and hunting. Well, one day, Manawydan and Pryderi were out hunting with their hounds, and the hounds spotted a white boar in the forest. And the boar took off through the forest, and the hounds followed after. And Pryderi and Manawydan hurried after their hounds, calling for them to wait. And so, as the hounds followed the boar, and they followed the hounds, all of a sudden, they saw a great white castle, where there had been no castle before. "Now this is strange, Manawydan. I don't like this. But it's so beautiful. What is this castle?" "I don't like this, Pryderi. You said it yourself. I don't think we should go any farther. Come, let us go back." "No, I'm curious." And so Pryderi strove onwards, and there was nothing his friend could do to stop him. So Pryderi, the Manawydan coming up from behind, entered into the great white castle. And inside of the castle was a great white marble fountain and platform. And on that platform was a great slab, and on the slab was a great golden chalice. And Pryderi was drawn to it. Manawydan yelled out to his friend, "Pryderi, no! It could be a trap." "Nonsense, it's beautiful." And Pryderi was drawn to it. And as soon as he stepped onto the platform, he grasped the cup into his hands. His feet became stuck, and his mouth clamped shut, and he could neither move nor talk. And Manawydan was scared. He didn't know what to do. So he rushed back home, and he went to tell his wife, Rhiannon. And Rhiannon said to him very sternly, "What a fine friend you are to have abandoned him. If you will not go and help him, then I will go." And so Rhiannon went off to look for her son and to bring him back. But Manawydan called out to her, "Wait, Rhiannon, my love, I will come with you." And he followed her. And as they approached, they saw the white castle that Pryderi and Manawydan had seen before, and they were drawn into it. And Manawydan once again called out to her to be careful, but she wouldn't listen. And then there they saw Pryderi standing solid still with his mouth clamped shut, the cup on the white marble fountain platform. And she was drawn towards it. She called out to her son. Then she touched the bowl herself. And as soon as she did this, to Manawydan's eyes, everything disappeared into a great mist. And the white castle, disappeared. And Manawydan was standing on a grassy plain. And Rhiannon and Pryderi were gone, and the hounds were lost. And there was no white boar. And Manawydan, not knowing what to do now, returned home very sad, where he greeted Kicva, Pryderi's wife. "What has happened? What has happened, Manawydan?" "Kicva, I have some bad news. They are both gone. They're lost." "Oh, what are we to do?" "I think we should go. We should return to England. Let us go and try and make our livings in Hereford again." And so they returned to Hereford, where they take up work as shoemakers once again. And Manawydan crafted the shoes so fine that the local shoemakers in Hereford became very angry with this Welshman, and they plotted to kill him, and they were forced to return back to Gorsedabeth in Dyfed. While they were there, Manawydan no longer had hounds to hunt, so he decided that he would sow 3 fields of wheat. And he sowed the fields, and when they ripened, during the night, something had eaten them, because the next day all the heads of the wheat were gone, and he was in a rage. So he planted them again. And when they came to full blossom, the next day, something had eaten all the wheat heads off of the wheat.
This does not make sense.
And so Kikva told him,
Just plant them again, dear. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll be lucky this time.
And so Manawydan planted the fields of wheat again. But again, the same thing happened.
Blast it all! Something is eating my wheat. This tonight.
The next time they ripen, the 4th time I plant them, I will spy out to see who is stealing the heads off of my wheat. And so the 4th time after he planted the wheat field, and they've come to full blossom, he hides himself behind some trees. In the middle of the night, he sees an army of mice come and attack the wheat, and they bite off the heads of the wheat.
And Manawydan grew very angry. You rascals! You won't escape me!
And he tries to catch them, but they're too fast, they're too quick. Then he spots a certain little mouse who's rather fat.
Ah! Got you, you little thing. Now you won't escape. You and your friends will pay dearly.
I shall make an example of you to your friends, so that to show this is what happens to thieves who steal from my wheat fields.
I shall hang you on the morrow.
And so he takes the mouse to Kikva, and he tells her of his plans. She says to him,
It is beneath your dignity to hang such an animal. Let the poor reptile go.
Nay, I will not let this despicable little thing go. He and his kindred have ruined my fields.
I will not. He must pay for what he and his friends have done. And there's nothing that Kikva could say to convince him otherwise. So on the morrow he started to fashion a great gallows to hang the mouse. And as he was doing that, a clerk came up to him, and the clerk said, "Who's
Sir, I will give you £1 if you will only spare that mouse's life. Why shun your good honour by hanging such a despicable reptile?"
This is because this mouse and his kindred ruined my wheat fields, and nobody steals from me. I must make an example of this mouse. No, you may keep your £1.
And so he denied the clerk, even though he found it strange that this was the first person in all of Dyfed he'd seen in years. So the clerk went on his way. Then a little while later, as he was continuing to set up the gallows, a priest comes by on a chestnut horse.
Sir, please, what are you doing with that poor mouse? I'm going to hang him. This mouse is a thief. He and his kindred have been stealing my wheat heads. Now, surely that is a small offence. Do not defile yourself by hanging this poor reptile. Please. You're the second person I've seen in years, and you're the second person this day who has told me to spare this mouse's life. Nay, I shall do no such thing, no matter how many pounds you offer me.
But sir, I'll offer you £5. All I have in my pouch.
Nay, be on your way.
And so the priest went on his way, and he got ready to hang the mouse. The gallows were all set up, and just as he was about to hang the mouse,